In this video, I'm going to speak with you about degrees of freedom when we're doing a repeated measures t-test. Degrees of freedom are going to help us to find our critical t-value in the t-distribution table. So we're going to talk about how do we use degrees of freedom to make decisions, and we'll do a learning check that's going to review each step. So just as a reminder of what the theoretical underpinnings are to degrees of freedom, and by the way, you may not completely understand what this means at this point, but you can memorize the formula for degrees of freedom. But I'm going to go back and just say that degrees of freedom come into play when we have a sample mean that needs to be known before sample variance is calculated. And this process of calculating the mean places a restriction on the variance in that only n-1 scores in a sample are free to vary. And n-1 is called degrees of freedom for variance. So let's take a look and see. Degrees of freedom for the repeated measures t-statistic are determined by the degrees of freedom values for the sample. So here we go. Degrees of freedom equals n-1, where n is the number of participants in the sample. We're doing a repeated measures t-test. So we have one sample that's being measured 2 different times, but our degrees of freedom are based on the number of people in that sample. And degrees of freedom are needed for our critical boundaries. So let's give this a try. A repeated measures t-test uses n equals 16 participants. So that means 16 people are total and they have 2 different measures. What are the degrees of freedom for this t-statistic? And then identify the critical boundaries for n equals 16 using a two-tailed test at alpha equals 0.01. So two-tailed test means we're going to have 2 critical boundaries, one in the left tail, one in the right tail. And the area in both of those tails combined will equal 1%. So you'll have 0.5% in one tail and 0.5% in another tail. So we had 16 people, which means n-1, 16 minus 1 is 15. We said that we were going to look at a two-tailed test at 0.01. So if I draw an imaginary line in between these 2 circled numbers, I end up with a critical t-value of plus or minus 2.947. It's plus or minus because it's two-tailed. There you go, two-tailed test plus or minus 2.947. Let's do another one. If we have a repeated measures t-test, it has an n of 25 participants. What are the degrees of freedom and the critical boundaries for an n of 25 using a one-tailed test at alpha 0.01? Okay, so we can do this. If our n is 25, our degrees of freedom are n-1. Our degrees of freedom are 24. We're doing a one-tailed test at alpha 0.01. So degrees of freedom, 24, one-tailed test at 0.01, meaning that there's 1% in one tail, and the critical t is 2.492. So degrees of freedom 24, at a one-tailed test at alpha 0.01, degrees of freedom are 2.492. It's going to depend on our hypothesis, whether or not this is going to be a negative 2.492 or a positive 2.492. If my alternative hypothesis says that my mean will be lower, my difference score will be lower, then it would be a negative 2.492 would be the critical value. If I'm thinking my difference scores are going to be higher, that would be a positive 2.492. All right, so in the next video, we're going to walk through the steps of conducting a repeated measures t-test.